Good evening, all of you. I'm Mahin, President and founder of WomenAscension. With me, we have country representative from Zimbabwe, Munyaradzi. She is known for her passion for education and social entrepreneurship, and she is currently pursuing her master's in entrepreneurship. Today's webinar is about impact of training on women performance in small-scale entrepreneurship in developing countries. So we would be hearing Munye about her research and understanding, and she will be sharing with us. Munye, welcome abroad. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Mem, for this opportunity. Welcome everyone on this platform. I'm delighted to be part of you tonight as we share together some knowledge which is crucial and very important for women empowerment in this day and era, where women empowerment has to be nurtured and has to be developed, where women need to be capacitated because there is need for social change to take place. Okay, as you can see from my slides, the topic is impact of training on women performance in small scale entrepreneurship in development countries. Why training? Why this topic of training on women? Can you move to the next slide? From my personal perspective, I believe that there is great need for women to be empowered, especially in this day and era, considering that the economic situation in our developing countries is quite difficult and challenging. So I think there is no need for us to, as women, to continue to waste time by pursuing entrepreneurship, which does not benefit us at full benefit. We need to benefit, and we can benefit fully from entrepreneurship, hence the need for us to be trained. Because small-scale entrepreneurship is increasingly becoming a significant driver of economic growth, productivity, innovation, and employment creation globally. And where successfully practiced entrepreneurship, it transforms the ideas, the small ideas that the women have, into economic opportunities, thereby fulfilling the purpose. The purpose I'm talking about is the purpose for fulfilling needs for the customer, solving the pains of the customer, providing gains, and providing solutions to the pains of the customer. Also, on the other hand, when entrepreneurship is successful, the entrepreneurs themselves, they get fulfillment. And also, although many countries have underestimated small-scale entrepreneurship for too long, most countries are now realizing that small-scale enterprises are vital and are a key aspect of economic dynamism. Another aspect which is contributory to the need for empowerment for women economically is because trends are shifting. Gone are the days when the woman would spend 24/7 in the home doing domestic chores. Women are being slowly liberated because of awareness and availability and access of information, such as gender equality, equality and inequality issues which are being addressed in this era. Therefore, the woman is slowly becoming significant players in economic contribution, despite their vulnerable baseline. Because we are saying that from the developing countries where we come from, especially here from Africa, the woman used to be and is still looked down upon, and the woman is viewed to be the machine of domestic chores. They have to be in the home, taking care of domestic chores. And however, due to the training, due to the awareness and availability of women, the woman has been awakened, and they are now finding themselves in the economic activities of societies. Therefore, they need to be trained. And if we consider that the woman is an untapped potential source of economic contribution, which constitutes 50% of the world's population, there is great need for this source to be trained for effectiveness and efficiency. You can move on to the next slide. Hello? Hello? The next slide. Okay. First and foremost, let me talk about what is training, which training can be defined as a process of increasing knowledge, skills, in order to improve one's capability, capacity, productivity, and performance, which is what I have reiterated before, that women need to be capacitated to improve their capacity, their productivity, and therefore performance in business. Because most women from developing countries have for long been considering entrepreneurship as a part-time activity, as a hobby. So I'm saying it's a high time these women are encouraged, are motivated, and are capacitated, and have their visions magnified, and have their visions and in terms of economic contribution to societies, because it is really vital for women to contribute to the society. Like I said, they constitute 50% of the population. And training is continuous. It is never ending in nature. So it has to be given to women in business. It has to be restructured accordingly. And it has to be shaped to provide the relevant training which will be required at a given time. The person who will be training is called the trainer, and the trainee is the person receiving training. Can you go ahead? Oh, okay. Some of the small-scale entrepreneurship in developing countries include retail stores, because most of them are not in a position, are not in capacity to manufacture their own products. So most of them are engaging in retail outlets. Like recently, because of the pandemic, they've also adopted the online business methods, and they also into manufacturing goods. They are also into service provision. They are into farming, mining, which is done as sole traders, and the type of businesses are usually family-run, partnerships, and even cooperatives in developing countries. Hence, there is need, I will continue to emphasize that there is need for training for women in small to medium enterprises in developing countries. Go ahead. Okay, so the reason why we have to inculcate training is because we have challenges. We have challenges. Women are facing a lot of challenges, and despite them being a rich source of untapped economic contribution, women in developing countries are inevitable. I, women in developing countries face inevitable challenges, but this can be alleviated by appropriate training programs which will enable the women to reach their highest level of potential. And some of these challenges include financial, which is lack of access to funding. Remember, a woman from developing countries, they lack access to most resources, be it land, and some do not even have accounts, bank accounts in their names. The bank accounts belong to husbands, and some of them, they don't even have access to other resources, machinery, when they are bought in the home. They are bought under the name of the spouse, and even when they are a daughter in their family, they rarely own property, which can allow them to access even bank loans to enable them to launch businesses, to finance their businesses. So, and also the women, most of them, they lack the skills and knowledge. Why? Because most of them are forced to drop out of school in developing countries because of early pregnancies, early marriages, and some uh, do not make it to the even tertiary level for some of the reasons which I've said before. So therefore, there is need for the women to be trained so that they can establish businesses and run startups, scale up, and also practice growth strategies and get training in the various basic skills which are necessary for entrepreneurship. And also, the women, they lack networking for relevant connections. Like in this case, we are in this meeting, and most of us are from the developing countries. We are networking, which is um, part of those essential skills, part of those essential aspects which can enable women to be viable in business. Can you go ahead? Okay. Like I said, training is systematic. There are various processes, stages which have to be followed for the process to be effective. And each and every stage of the process is critically important. First and foremost, there's need to conduct a needs assessment research whereby there is need to identify the appropriate training which is required by the women. And then there is need to come up with objectives which are shaped from the needs assessment process. And then there is need to design an appropriate curriculum for the training program. And after all that has been considered and taken care of, now there will be need to implement the training, and training will not be effective without evaluation. So training will be complete when evaluation has been done. And training, like I said, it's not a one day thing, but it's continuous. It doesn't end in nature. And there is also need to come back to where you started from, providing remedial knowledge where one has gaps in their performance. So this is it about the stages of training. Okay, as you can see from the slide, these are some of the types of training, and I consider all these as important for women empowerment. For example, this induction or orientation training is critically important for women because for women, business
Hello? Hello?
Hi, we're waiting for you.
I'm so sorry, I had lost connectivity.
It is fine, it is fine.
Okay, so I was talking about the various types of training and their relevance to women in business. So I was talking about the safety training. It's equally important for the women so that they can also share that with their workmates, their employees, because most of these women in business, in small scale business, they are sole traders. So they do the running and the manning of the project themselves. So there's really need for them to be versatile in safety training so that they reduce hazards and therefore increase performance in the workplace rather than wasting time solving hazards and dangers in the workplace. There's also need for the women to have refresher training or retraining so that they can keep abreast of the current environment. For example, in this era of COVID and whereby we have resorted to online trading, online business, there is need for the women to get refresher training so that they can adapt and adjust their business models as well. For example, for those women who are manufacturing cleaning agents, who are in the cleaning businesses, they can as well adjust their business models into manufacturing sanitizers, into sanitizing and disinfecting homes so that they can be compatible with existing environment in business. So there is also need for the women to be versatile with promotional training and remedial training so that they will be ready to work on higher levels of management in events where they are promoted. So the next slide talks about why training. Why have I chosen this topic that is critically important for women in small scale businesses and developing countries? This is because training will help to eradicate and reduce the barriers to effectiveness of women in small scale businesses, especially here in our developing countries. How does training do that? Through mentorship, coaching. Mentorship and coaching will help to lessen and reduce the barriers which are inhibitive for women so that they can see their visions through to the end so that they can be able to contribute to at their maximum levels of potential. Because in the road to entrepreneurship is not an easy one from my personal experience. Therefore, there is need for mentorship and coaching for the entrepreneur, for the budding entrepreneurs to have their hand held by the mentors, by the coaches, so that they know how to sail through the various uncertainties which they may come across in their journey. And also training provides awareness and access to information. Basically here in the developing countries, like I said, our main challenge is awareness and access to information. Women in developing countries, we have been denied information, access to information, and we have been denied access to awareness, so much that many women, as much as it may seem to be common knowledge or to be like a simple situation where one is supposed to know how they're supposed to start their businesses, how they're supposed to run their businesses. The situation is not like that here in developing countries. Some may argue that we are in the era where there's technological revolution, but it's different here in developing countries. Most people are not able to access internet. They are not able to access internet because of various technical challenges. Just like you've seen, I'm having challenges. My video is muted. There are network connectivity issues which are taking place right now where I am. So I'm saying in cases where there are such barriers, there are technical challenges, there will be need for training to be introduced so that the entrepreneurs will know how to go about and navigate through so that despite the challenges, they can be able to realize their dreams and their vision. Also, training provides the basic entrepreneurial skills in marketing, research, bookkeeping, sales, PR, branding, and the list goes on. Some aspects such as business pitching, business planning, will enable the women to access funding from investors. However, from my personal research in my country, I've realized that very few women are able to come up with business plans. Their business plans are detached from themselves. They have to buy these business plans or they have to look for someone to do these business plans for them. So I'm saying there is great need for women to be trained so that they can get some of these entrepreneurial basic skills. And there's also need for the women to have financial literacy so that they will be able to account for the finances. Because where we are coming from, our background, remember, we are in these developing countries. We used to see our mothers when they've raised funds set aside for the business, the funds would, however, be diverted for other uses. And the funds can be used to pay for school fees for the children. Actually, the funds are faced with, the funds we have a challenge of trying to solve various problems in the home, especially in the developing countries. So where the woman is empowered, where they are financially literate, they will be able to take care of their business funds, and the chances of the business collapsing will be very slim. According to research, women who have been trained have improved communication skills so much that they are able to communicate effectively with their customers, and not only with their customers, with their spouses, their family members, their friends, colleagues, and they can even articulate their dreams, their visions without fear, and they become bold and confident. Remember, we are coming from a background where some of the women will have grown up in a home where they see their mothers being abused, and they are taught that the woman is supposed to stay in the home. So their confidence, their boldness, their courage would have been wiped away. So there is need for restoration of confidence for the women to be able to articulate and to realize and to perform to their maximum potential in terms of economic contribution. And also, training will bring about networking for the women, which is critically important. I value networking because networking it's a sure sign of growth. A business without networking is more like stagnant, especially in this era that we are in. There is need for one to network, especially internationally and globally, from locally, globally, and internationally. Is critical for entrepreneurs to network so that they can understand and learn how other entrepreneurs from the various parts of the world are coping or are adjusting or are navigating through, especially challenges. And this brings motivation to the women. As you can see on the slide, I've tabulated some of the impacts of training on women performance in small scale. I've indicated that training improves the women efficiency generally in economic output. It enhances their startups scaling up in business, the growth of the business, and help them to build better exit strategies. And also training will help them to be better, confident leaders who are capable of making sound decisions. And the woman is from a developing country, is coming from a compromised background where they are taught to and conditioned to be dependent, and they therefore their leadership qualities are stripped away. So the training will restore all that. And I've talked about some of these: improved communication, awareness, mentorship, networking, which to improve growth. And these are some of my key takeaways now. Training women in developing countries for economic empowerment is essential because it improves livelihoods, it improves quality of goods and services. Women, most of them, they are empathetical and they approach business from an empathetical point of view. For example, in my country, I'm a district coordinator in Empowered Women Excel Circle. The co-founder is a woman, and from an empathetic point perspective, she came up with the savings and credit cooperative. After working in a bank for more than 20 years, she realized that it was difficult for women to access loans, to access funding for startups and scaling up. Therefore, she started this business from an empathetical point perspective. And this circle is helping many women. The women there, we train them, and after training them, we give them access to funding, and we follow up, and we visit them. We see some of the projects that they are doing, and we motivate them, we inspire them, we provide networking, we provide basic entrepreneurial trainings so that the women can grow in their businesses. And this has proved to be effective in my local community. And therefore, the training brings confidence back, which will have been lost. And the goodness of training women is the aspect of ripple effect. It also has trickle down effect, because when you empower a woman, the benefit is huge. How? Because the woman will share with a friend, with a sister, a family member, their spouses, and when they are mothers, they will share and they will train their children. Therefore, when you train a woman, you would have trained many women. And it's good to train women in developing countries economically, so that we can eradicate and reduce poverty, and we can reduce the rate of illiteracy, business illiteracy. And I personally believe that economic empowerment for the women would reduce domestic violence, because especially from where I come from, many women are abused. There's domestic violence because the stories, they are all centered around money and finances. So where we are coming from, and at the organization where I'm working with, Empowered Women Excel Circle, we are encouraging women, we are training them to have at least 5 to 7 streams of income, so that we can also alleviate these cases of domestic violence, because we would have reduced the rate of dependence of the women on the spouses and any other helpers financially. And we are also targeting to serve the Sustainable Development Goals number 4, number 8, and number 3, which talks about health and well-being. We all know that when we have our dreams fulfilled, we are well in our minds, we are well in our bodies. So it is crucial for women to be empowered economically so that they can realize their visions. And women empowerment through training, it unlocks future potential of the women, fulfilling their objectives and goals, and therefore create a happy society. Where I come from, there's a statement which says that Musha Mukazi, like the home is home because there's a wife or there's a woman. So this means that if the woman is ill in the mind, if the woman is ill in the body, then that home will be destroyed. So this is where I said that there is need to empower the woman so that we can empower the whole nation, because the woman takes care of the husband, the children, the extended family, and everyone else. The woman is the key member of society, therefore they need training. I end here. Thank you.
Thank you, Munya. Munya. We have few questions. Uh, Please wait.
Okay, thank you so much.
If you have any questions, please ask. Munya, I agree with the point that training, getting training is easy, but making sure the trainers are getting the grasp out of it is very difficult. And you were right about that. The trainers assume that we are at the same mental frequency, and it actually causes difficult for the trainees to understand trainers.
Oh, yes, that's true.
All right, we have a question, Munya. Um, how do you suggest we can improve women empowerment from home?
Okay. I think in order to improve women empowerment is to start at grassroots level. Like we start at what we have. What do we have in the community? Do we have people like Mahid, like Munyaradzi, like other women with women empowerment at heart? And we can get in touch with those. And for example, in my case, how I started women empowerment, I was touched by the situation in my country, especially during lockdown last year. So I got to volunteer under an organization known as Women Excel Circle. So in that organization, I mobilized women, and I realized that I am privileged far more than the other ladies in my community, in my local community. So I believe in grassroots empowerment, starting from where we are and what do we have. We use what we have. For example, I got access to this organization, and I used that, and I contacted the founder of that organization, Edna Mkula, and she agreed to work with me. She offered me the volunteering position so that I can be able to share with the women back home. So I think we need to start with what we have. What do we have? The passion, the patience, the desire, the courage that we have for women empowerment. These are very crucial tools for starting women empowerment at home. Thank you.
Thank you, Munya. We have another question from Shahida. She says, I'm Shahida, and I also belong to a rural area, but we engaged our community towards saving and using that saving towards small businesses. Do you think there are other way out as well, as as getting loan from bank is difficult?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. This is why I was saying that it's important for the women to get training in areas such as business model design. where women are trained to do business pitching, and they are also networked so that they can have information about investors and the investor funds and how to access those. And considering that the investors would want to have a business pitch presented in front of them, it is difficult for the women to access funds without a convincing business pitch. So there is need for networking like we are doing now. I'm sure there are some women who are going to get out of this meeting with one or two benefits from this meeting. So it's really important to network. Our speaker of the question, it's really important to network. It's also important to access available resources. I think you talked about small savings. Yes, getting loans from the bank is really difficult indeed. So in our home area, we have, like I said, this Empowered Woman Excel Circle. We have formally managed funds which we lent out to members only, and therefore eradicating and reducing the challenges of accessing funds.
Thank you, Munia. So how can we overcome the challenges as per your understanding? Sadrudini is asking that.
Okay. From a personal perspective, I think it's critically important for one to have courage and the audacity to be patient and to pursue your vision despite what type of challenges that you may come across. And there's also another important aspect of mentorship and coaching. I believe that one works as well. You need to engage a mentor. You need to find a coach so that they can hold your hand while you navigate through this wild road of entrepreneurship. It's not an easy road at all. So you need one who have already walked through that path so that you can excel. And when you want to give up, they'll be there to motivate you, to encourage you. But I continue to stress, to put emphasis on networking. It's really important because you learn, you share, you get to hear about new ideas, you get to hear about new business ideas, and you are motivated, and your creativity and your innovation is also improved. Because the one thing with business is that you have to be compatible and you have to be relevant to the existing business environment. For example, in this COVID era, you find that many businesses have been kicked out of the arena. It's because most of them have failed to adapt. Most of them have failed to adjust their business models. So there's need to adjust, but how do we adjust? We adjust when we have information. So I'm saying one of the challenges that we have in developing countries is access to information and awareness. So there is need for one to expose themselves as much as they can. There's need for one to reach out for help wherever necessary and not to give up. So we need to overcome the challenges rather than give up. Thank you.
Thank you, Munia. So anyone has any question? Munia, thank you very much for your such an excellent presentation. What I would ask you in the end, then what do you give these audience a piece of advice?
Thank you so much for this opportunity to share my piece of advice. I would like to advise the women to reach out for training in as much as it may be difficult to access information, but they have to present themselves and strategically position themselves whenever they get information that there's a training, I would encourage them to go for training. For example, myself, I was an informal entrepreneur from the background of my growing up. But however, I decided to take this MBA program so that I can become a better entrepreneur, so that I can become up to date in terms of business, so that I can acquire skills. I encourage upcoming entrepreneurs to take on training as much as they can, to engage mentors and coaches and to place value on this. And I also want to tell them that despite the challenges that you may face in this road of entrepreneurship, it's not easy. I know and I reckon that, but I would encourage you not to give up, never to give up. The best thing that you can do for yourself is to continue moving forward. It may seem that there's nothing really which is taking place, but something is going on wherever you are. Each and every one testimony of such approach. I grab opportunities and I learn whenever I get the opportunity, and I love to impart the knowledge. So if we become like that, all of us women entrepreneurs, and we share and we groom and we train others, will eventually become a very strong force in entrepreneurship. So I would like to encourage women not to give up. I would say to women, arise women, it's your time to wake up. There's a strong personality, there's a strong person inside of you. There's a superior woman inside of you, and I encourage you to awaken that woman. I encourage you to not to deny that woman an opportunity. I encourage you to work towards awakening of that woman, and eventually it will work out and you celebrate. Especially where you find yourself restless in terms of entrepreneurship activities, it means that you are an entrepreneur, and that restless is one of the required qualities of an entrepreneur. Not giving up, resilience despite the challenges, despite the mountains which are standing in front of you. It means you are an entrepreneur, so you should head ahead and never look back. It will all work out one day, and you smile to look at your journey, and you cherish it, and you'll be motivated to go further. Thank you.
Thank you, Monier. On behalf of WomenAscension and all the audience, we would like to thank you. Thank you for the knowledge you shared. And Monier, we hope to hear from you again. Thank you, Monier, for your time.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Mahim. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to WomenAscension. Thank you for this opportunity.
Take care, Monier. Thank you, everyone.